Hello, everyone. Very good evening from a rainy GTA today, and very good evening to you, Brent. I hope you're well.
Oh, hi, Hamad. Yes, it's the night after the Stanley Cup was awarded.
Yeah.
We're talking about Canadian content. My team. Do you remember we had this conversation back like 6 weeks ago, and I was saying how my team, the Montreal Canadiens, made a chance. Well, they made it all the way to the final.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
made it to Game 5 with Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa ended up winning. Tampa was the better team, but really happy to support my Habs. I've waited half my life for them to be back in the final again, so it was worth the wait. It was great.
Absolutely.
So anyway,
Absolutely.
besides that, life is good.
Yeah. And games. So the sports is one of the best way. If I know sports, I'll be very easily to start my friendship, my communication with the Canadians. So
Yeah.
so that's
Well, it
that's
is.
yeah.
Like I mean, I've had conversations with colleagues at the Rogers Center, which is where the Toronto Blue Jays play. And I remember meeting up with some new colleagues, and I believe they were from India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. So they were keen on cricket, and I
Yeah.
don't know much about cricket. I know it's a little bit like baseball, so I think I may have told the story. I spent probably about 15 minutes explaining all the intricacies of baseball to them, and then they spent about the next hour and a half trying to explain cricket to me. And I realized I was kind of like, no offense to my son plays baseball and everything, but it was kind of like comparing checkers to chess.
Absolutely.
So and just but it's important to people's
Yeah.
culture. And like hockey is, I never played ice hockey. I skated and played street hockey and road hockey and ball hockey and everything except for ice hockey, but I've been a fan of the game for most of my life. But there's things about sports which help explain culture and business culture and idioms and how we communicate with each other and do business with each other. So yeah, it's a fun pastime, it's entertainment, but um, if you want to understand the business culture of a place that you're doing it, and Hamad, you've worked in so many different countries, right?
Yeah.
If you understand the games, the leisure activities, the sports that are important to that particular business culture, it will help understand a bit about how people interact or interrelate to each other and connect. And yeah, it's not an unimportant part of a country's culture. So, and I'm a sports fan anyway. So
Oh yeah.
there we go.
Absolutely, and it really connects. I mean, I can absolutely vouch for what you're saying. When you are in Sri Lanka, for instance, if you are talking cricket, like most of the South Asia, you talk
Yeah,
cricket.
yeah, for sure.
Or if it's Olympics going on, then we're talking about swimming or basketball or whatever.
Yeah,
Sports and sports really connect, and that's the beauty of this spirit that I call the sportsman spirit, right? So today we have a great guest with us, Tanveer. She is a licensed immigration consultant based in GTA, but she actually recently got it like a few years ago, and prior to that she was doing something else. And she has an interesting story. She has an interesting story as an immigrant to share with us today, Brent. And this is the spirit of this show that we bring to for our audience, as to share with them the pivoting part of it, the reinventing part of it also. Immigrants come in, they do bits and pieces, they find their space, and almost everybody is successful in doing something after experimenting and connecting with people. And she is one of those. So without any further ado, let's bring Tanveer up and talk to her. Hello,
Hello,
Tanveer.
hello everyone.
Yeah. So this is a bit of technique. I want to keep you in the middle so that we both talk to you. Talk
Okay,
to you.
right, right.
there we go. Tanvir, it's a pleasure to meet you. I
Pleasure to
understand
meet you,
you.
Brent.
I think
Yes,
you know Hamad already. We really haven't met, but love to learn a bit more, for our audience, a bit about your journey, and I think we share some connections with British Columbia. But maybe just tell us a little bit about your journey coming to Canada, because I think you've got some connections to Karachi, I understand.
Yes, yes.
So maybe tell us a bit about how you decided to come to Canada, and what your journey was all about.
Oh, the journey is basically you. I would say I'm a born immigrant because I was originally born in India, and my
Yes.
parents migrated because they wanted to give their children a safe place, kind of thing.
Hmm.
So we came to Pakistan, but my education and everything was done in Pakistan, Karachi. But then
Okay.
I had my kids. We decided that we have to give them a safer place. So we moved to Canada.
Wow. So how old were your children or child when
Oh,
you
my
moved to Canada?
children were in school. They were in school at that time when we migrated. So it was like a transitional period. So I didn't really push any one of them to come here because my elder son was in high school and he wanted to finish his school there only. So,
All right.
it was not easy for us. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, but something has to be done. So we did it
Yes.
that way. And it was basically for their education that we wanted to come to Canada and give them a better choice and chances and learning and
Wow. Yeah, I've got two children of my own. They're
everything.
almost 22 and 19 now, so
Oh,
they're
yeah.
not little anymore. Did did you? I'm curious. Did you consider other countries besides Canada in
Um,
terms of looking at their future?
Not exactly, because back in Pakistan when I was so my if you look into my own like professional journey, I used to work before I got married. Then I got married. Then I quit my job and I stayed home at around 9 years or something till
Hmm.
my little one was ready to go to school. Then I again started working, and
Hmm.
then I worked for some 9 years or 10 years, no, 12 years around. And then we moved back to Canada. Then I
Oh,
quit job, came here, and I didn't took any like full-time job here because it was not possible because my husband was back in Pakistan, children were here, so I had to like do all the commuting and everything,
wow.
the keeping the uh, relationships in both of the part of the thing. Yeah. So
And
that
but
is
must have been challenging though,
very
having
challenging sometimes.
the
Yeah.
part of the family here, part of the family in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Did you end up settling in the Greater Toronto area, or where did
Yes.
you settle first?
No, we were in Toronto only, right from the very beginning, rather, right, I would say. Yeah. We landed
Huh?
here.
Yeah.
We landed here. We lived here. So that's what my life is.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
remember,
Ahmed,
Brent,
go ahead.
yeah, I think in one of the sessions I shared my own story of coming to Canada for the first time as a visitor in 1992. And this friend of mine who was living in Rockies said, come to Calgary. And Calgary didn't exist for me. I mean, I did not know where Calgary is. For South Asian, it's either Vancouver or Toronto, and
Toronto.
Toronto is of course the place for everyone. The
Yeah.
next city or next province is British Columbia, or maybe just Vancouver, and rest of Canada doesn't exist for most of us. So
No,
everybody lands. Yeah.
people are still like people live, survive, but because I mean, I maybe a math for you also. It was a challenging thing to keep two houses running in a way,
Wow.
and I didn't want to leave my children for a very long time alone, kind of
Yes.
thing. Although they were living in the dorms, but because I used to be visiting here, living here, so it was a connection.
Yes.
And the whole purpose was their development, uh, not ours basically. But I kept on doing something or the other because back home, mm, when I worked, it was the college admission guidance counselor job there in an international American school there in Karachi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was also very interesting. And I just, when my when my daughter started going to school, I said to my husband, I said, now she's also going, I'm going to start working again. And he said, fine. So uh, I found an ad on in the paper, and I said, oh, listen, this number is very near to our house. Like, you can find out from the numbers where exactly this location could be. In
Yes.
Pakistan, at least it was that like that. So I said, oh, it's like, somewhere around here. So I want to go for an interview. Call them. They called me for interview. Uh, you won't believe, in Karachi American school, people really work hard to get some job. And I had my first interview for like in 15 minutes. I was done. So I came out and I said, maybe they liked me so much or they didn't like me at all. So
Yes.
and then the next day I got a call for second interview, which was like a long interview. And I was very free in my interview because I thought they're not going to hire me after such a big break kind of thing. But after 2 days, I got a call. When can you join?
Wow. That's
Yeah,
amazing. That's
yeah, that was something I feel that it was my luck. And I really enjoyed working there. I really enjoyed the work because it was helping to the students to go for their higher studies.
so. Was this? Had you joined? What type of school had you joined?
American school, Karachi American school, that's like
Oh,
international school.
but in Toronto.
No, it was in back in Karachi before
Oh, it was
coming.
back in Karachi. Oh, I see. Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
What did
so
you do when you come here? Come here. What kind of you did some part-time work?
yes,
You said.
what I did, because at that time, when children were here, I used to come and go, right? And because my husband had his job there, so he doesn't want to leave that job till the time children get their education completed, because we don't really want it to, uh, financial crunch kind of thing. So yeah, in the meanwhile, I did a lot of like volunteer work there. I was with the Rotary Club of Toronto Babelor, and I was with the Rotary Club of Forest Hill there. Uh, so I was volunteering in another French speaking organization. It's an NGO uh, who work with the refugees to and help them to learn English.
All right.
So I was volunteering that organization to help the newcomers to learn English and to speak, to write, how to, when they go for interviews, how to dress up, attire, and kind of things. Yeah. So I was doing a lot of volunteer work. In the meanwhile, because I back home, I was a guidance counselor and people knew me, so they were asking me how to get the admission. So I was working, but it was not like kind of full time work.
All right. So how did you then thought of becoming an licensed immigration consultant?
So what happened? What basically when I thought like now I'm kind of like free with my responsibilities in a way, so I can take something full time kind of thing, and with full responsibility, because I did my because college application basically when you apply abroad, it's also like kind of a puzzle kind of thing. You put in the requirement of the client with all the students with the requirement of the universities, their interest, their money, and everything is involved. It's the same with the immigration work also. And because I did my file myself, a lot of people used to ask me questions, and I used to
Mm.
help them. But then later on, when I thought like now I can really do something, then I took this course because if you have to work full time, then you should have the whole process
Hmm.
under your hand. So yeah.
Hmm.
Then I did this course from UBC. Then I had licensing exam in 2017, and then I'm
Wow.
back here. in the field.
So you weren't tempted to stay in Vancouver? It's a lot of
No, I like Toronto. Sorry.
no. I've got a foot in I've got a foot in Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal. So I'm kind of
So,
straddling all those places.
I kind of
basically,
like Vancouver. And I mean,
as a holiday.
my sister lives in Burnaby, so which is like,
Oh, which is where I grew up.
yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
So and in fact, my elder daughter was born in Burnaby, so that's how I know the area, and like right in the foothills of Salmon Feather University, SFU. So the area, the environment, it's really nice.
That's
You know, it
that's
rains a
my old
lot.
neighborhood. Yep.
It rains a lot as compared to, but again, I think GTA itself has its own like vibrance.
Right.
The
Yep.
vibrance is very different as compared to. I've
And
seen Calgary also. I've like stayed in Calgary very briefly. Calgary is very laid back and very relaxing as compared to Vancouver or British Columbia. But Toronto or the GTA is always the hustle bustle, the life,
Yep.
the communities. A lot of things happen in this part of Canada. So that's what I like about it. I mean, do you also like the same thing? Tanvir?
yes, yes, because as Hamad, you also from Karachi, right? So you know how Karachi is always like a vibrant city.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I never missed, like, as such, anything from back home except my friends and family, of course. Like, otherwise, like, I was okay.
Yeah.
I didn't like miss anything because being in Toronto means like you can do anything whenever you want.
And
So,
what one good thing about living in Toronto or in GTA is if you want to go back to Pakistan, whenever you want to go back, visit or whatever, it's just one straight flight. That's it.
Mhm.
yes,
In 13 hours, you landed either in Lahore, Islamabad, or Karachi.
yeah,
That's the best part of living in GTA.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. As an immigration consultant, Bridger, do you have conversations with your clients about they want to come to Canada, but are they giving thought to where they're going to live in the country? Is that is it more about they want to come to Canada, or they actually have done research and really want to pick what part of the country they want to be living in?
Brent, it depends case to case and person
Mm-hmm.
to person what their priorities are, and also, um, unfortunately, there is a lot of misconception out there in the other part of the world. I would say it's a lot of people go on hearsay. My friend's friend went there, he had a job. My so and so went there, and that's so. Actually, why I really like picked up this was that I wanted to know every nitty gritty of the uh, process, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was only once you study, you do practice, you have the community around you who will help.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very lucky in that sense that our licensing organization, and there are some bodies who really care for us, and there are so many
Yes.
groups, and yeah, it's a wonderful, if they would have not been there, I could have not been succeeded, because you need always encouragement from your seniors, and they're really, really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
So
What
there
is
are
one?
people really don't choose any place, right? It all depends. Like, a student, basically, there they know only 4 or 5 universities, right? They don't know in Canada we have such a good college system, right? So they
Mm-hmm.
would only think about UFT, McMaster, McGill, like 5 universities, and that's all. That's the end of it, right? But then, basically, that's what I wanted to give them. That, listen, there are always pathways. You can go to the college and then you can go to the university. That will be less,
Yeah.
and then there you have more opportunities, or to you have more access to more field of like professions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind, and it's the same for immigration, right? Uh, Although it's everything is provided on the internet by the government of Canada,
Yeah.
all
Yes.
very clear, but there is always something which we have to really explain it to the client.
Is there? I guess again, Hamad knows that one of the reasons I enjoy the podcast is it's also an opportunity for me to learn because I have friends and acquaintances in Pakistan and India and the subcontinent, but I've never actually visited there yet. Um, in terms of the reliance on hearsay, as you said, versus government um, authorized websites. Can you just talk a little bit about that? Something I find a little bit confusing in terms of I
Yeah,
know that there's a lot of information that authorized and reputable organizations place for immigrants. I'm just wondering about accessing that. And maybe you can talk to that for a minute.
sure. So basically, what happens, friend, that there's always in Pakistani society, there's always a community pressure, also kind of thing. So it's not only that they want to go for Canada to, like there is like a class who are really educated. They know what they are doing, but that's very small uh, population.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is other class, and really, which I feel sorry for, they have hard-earned money and they want to either come themselves or send their children for education
Mm-hmm.
here, but
Yeah.
they don't have that much of information, or they don't have those means to understand what they are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, there are, in every business there are scams. So
Yeah.
people who are sitting there, really, like, I feel sorry how do they that they don't give the right information to the clients.
And that
Well.
happens not only in Pakistan. I get
In Dubai, yeah.
Dubai is full of those. India, for instance, and India there is, I don't know. India is just, I mean, it just blows my mind away. People sell their houses and they give that money to agents to get the visa for, like, maybe a work permit, Lima or whatever, for Canada, just to come to Canada. And some of them somehow get it because if the 100 people are applying, maybe two or three will get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is nothing the agent has done, right? It's just the sheer luck that they got it. And they come here, they can't speak English, and they have to now either do something because the family in back India or wherever they're coming from is homeless. They are living on rent or whatever. And in South Asia, having your own home is the thing everybody is looking for. That's the biggest assurance for your safety. Your own, as we call it, हमारी अपनी छत, or our own roof is
Oof.
is the biggest thing. And particularly for people coming from Pakistan, the first thing they would do, they would buy a house. So that reduces their ability to move, the ability to
Mm-hmm.
one place to another place, and it's pretty much cultural. For other South Asian countries, from India, from Sri Lanka, from Bangladesh, people come in, they don't buy property. They would just wait for an opportunity. They will live on rent to move to another city maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And initially they would live together, so maybe, like, there is a couple living, and they have two rooms. The other couple will come and join them. For a Pakistani community, it's just almost impossible. So it's a lot of cultural thing that happen, but the bottom line is that when somebody has sold house or jewelry or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you have to return that money back. And the guys or girl has landed here, they can't even speak English. And
Yeah.
recently I had this kind of a story. So we moved into this new house. I wanted a plumber to come and fix the washer and the dryer. So somebody, like my neighbor, said, yeah, he knew someone. So this guy came over, um, um, and he fixed it. So while he was doing this, I was chatting with him. He's like from young fellow from Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, when so he got married to a PR holder, one of their relatives, and as a spouse he came here. and he did his last whatever the plumbing license thing, HAVC from Durham College. He said, when I came here, when I completed it, I did not know. I was just coming from Whitby to Durham College, and that's it, and going back. I did not know where Scarborough is. I did not know anything because I could not speak English, so I could not travel or anything. I said, when I started working, this guy who kind of hired me said, I will give you a monthly salary. Then the monthly salary went to, okay, I'll give you next month. 3 months he didn't get anything. I was like doing everything because he was like technical hand. But then since he left it, he started his own thing. He said, I make money. I can't tell you how much money he makes, but that's the kind of money he makes. He's a plumber, right? Um,
Yeah.
but now he's paying back because when I was coming here, got married, he had to kind of sacrifice some of his money to like to bring here or whatever. And this is a very common thing, particularly the Lima case, the work permit cases, student visas, for instance, and even Tanvir, for immigration program, a lot of people pay a lot of money to just and they get something called like guaranteed visa, which there is nothing. I mean, there is nothing called guaranteed visa, right? So,
So,
and these camps are
very
just,
recently, I
yeah.
tell you an interesting thing. Very recently, in one of our WhatsApp, like our professional RCRC's professional group, somebody has forwarded a message. This is, I'm talking about like Pakistan, not the India thing.
Mhm.
That Canadian green card lottery is open.
I don't
Yes.
think we don't have green cards here.
No,
That's the U.S.
we don't have green card, but look at the way people are tempting people, and they must be like very uneducated villagers or like but they would not understand that Canada does not have a green card lottery,
Yeah.
and they will be like specifically they said you will get work. They're like $2,000 and all glorified things. Send us your passport. If your passport is not done, we can get your passport done, kind of thing. I mean, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
I think
unfortunate. Well,
yeah, it's
absolutely, right.
unfortunate. And not even there, like I've been in contact with so many people who says that in from Dubai, they're pretty well educated people, but they got into scams. Somebody contacted me very recently. He said that he has paid a lot amount of money to somebody who has promised him, or he's done his file as an PNP candidate, and after almost everything was done, he told this candidate that this work permit or this the work offer is not genuine.
mm,
The candidate now know, and he asked me what should I do. I said, listen, my advice to you is that Canadian government does not like misrepresentation. You will be banned even if they come to know that you are coming on a false document.
mhm.
And
Wow.
there are many who take chance or risk and who spend money. Yeah,
$5,000 is the ongoing price for a fake. Um,
1,000 and more. Math,
5,000 is what I have heard. I mean, I know because I
no,
hear it from people who do it, but you are in the field, so probably. So
ten
just
thousand
for a
and more.
letter, if I take out a letter, I can actually print a letter over my like printer, color printer, and just get $5,000.
So don't
So
scare anyone. But yeah, it is something that that's really required, and that's what I try to convince my whoever contact me and say like I want a work permit, and I get like on Twitter and on my account there are so many messages. Can you give me work visa? No. Why would I? How can a Canadian? And my simple answer is why would somebody hire you if they have that same qualified person or experienced person in Canada? Why
Mhm.
would any employer will take that headache to hire you from there
yeah, this is just an example. This message was sitting. He wants a job as a chef.
as a chef?
So yeah. I mean, what do I do with them? So, and that's one of the reason, I do a live show on Friday with another friend of mine, Abdullah Bilal, who's also a regulated immigration consultant. And the idea is to explain people about the
And
reality
yes.
of the whole system. And one of the things that I really like about Abdullah, the way he explains that it is not. I mean, it's okay. You want to come here, but you may not qualify. So if you can do your own assessment and you know that you don't qualify, that's be it. This is the reality. Accept that reality, and
Hmm.
don't try to burn your hard-earned money and anything illegal. Don't get into anything illegal or whatever.
So I tell
So
you the story. One of
yeah,
my client, uh, he was like not that age limit, which is really like which can really give you more score points kind of thing. So he was very willing to, and the reason was basically for the children, not himself. And his children were in almost finishing up high school and said, so I told him, I said, why don't you? And it took about a couple of years, right? So I asked, so I got the admission done for his elder son in 2 year college here. He came in here, finished 2 year, he got PR, postgraduate work permit, worked here for 1 year, then he got the PR. In the meanwhile, there was another child who was ready to come to the college, brought them here. Then they sponsored their parents, and the parents are here. So you
Oh,
can take a right route if you really
mhm.
want to, but yeah, people doesn't know that.
Wow.
yeah,
Sounds like there's a lot of
I can see
it. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can see Brent's face. Wow,
Yeah. Well, it's just,
it's happening in this world.
I
Yes.
mean, people know how passionate I am about this country, and because Canada has so much benefits so much from newcomers who are able to come here and realize their potential. So it just pains me to hear these instances where people have been misled or
Yeah.
don't fully understand what they're getting themselves into. And thank goodness for licensed immigration consultants like yourself who can set things straight. If you were to provide some, I guess, tips or suggestions for people considering immigrating to Canada, if you had like 3 or 5 suggestions, what would you tell them?
Okay, so basically, Brent, it depends on a candidate's age, qualifications, experience, work experience, and everything. If that person is in that age bracket, like about 30, maybe 32 maximum, and have rightly qualified and have a couple of years experience, he's the right fit of coming straight from express entry. Apart
Mm,
from then you can always a person can always come as a student, right? Because
yes.
but then as a student, if you want to come, you have to have that much of money, and then the other thing is that we have to really uh, justify in our present, like we always give a submission letter sort of thing, justify to the officer why this person wants to study and why he wants to come to Canada.
Hmm.
Although there is a dual intent kind of thing, which is like allowed that you come to Canada as a student and can immigrate, but still the other side of the law says that when you come Canada on a temporary visiting visa, which is like a student business or
Yeah.
any kind of this visa, then you have to prove that you will return back to your home country once you finish your duration. So
Right.
it's a very kind of like technically presentable thing, kind of thing, so that the visa officer should not deny your application or reject your case.
Hmm.
And then there are, as I told you, like if you are like, if you can afford, if you have money, so spending your instead of spending your money on buying a work permit, which could mostly be false,
Yeah.
uh, you try to to a business. You can work as a business person in,
Hmm.
and you can send your children, and then from that route you can come here, because you can always work if you are willing to work. That's
Hmm.
not an issue, right? So
Yeah.
you have to really see your target. What's your target?
Yes. What's your
And
goal? So come. They really need a strategy before
yeah,
they come.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Do the
There are
research. Have a
many
strategy. What your
ways
plan is.
to come. Yeah, there are many ways to come to Canada legally, and
Yes.
can do a lot here.
Yeah. Is there anything around? I know we've talked on other conversations Hamad and I've had around mindset or attitude. Anything there that you would emphasize in terms of the way of thinking around what they're embarking on that you would advise potential immigrants on?
So, uh, and I said, like, it's very difficult to bring it into one
Mm. Well, 'cause
time.
I know there's some of our, I think a couple of our previous guests have talked about like a mindset of curiosity or thinking that, yes, it's a journey that you're immigrating, but the journey doesn't stop once you arrive here. Your journey's just begun. Those are a couple of pieces of advice that we've heard.
Uh, Immigration itself is not an easy step in your life, because, like, even if you're 17 years old, you're 25 years old, or you're like whatever age you are, you have some kind of like your base in another place,
Yes.
and then you have to, like, socially, economically, everything changed. So
Mm.
you should be ready for that. That whatever will come, I'll take it,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's a fresh start in your life,
Hmm.
your thing. Uh, and then there are so many opportunities here. You can
Yes.
work, you can study, you can work plus study, you can do anything. It's so much of freedom. You enjoy everything. So it's a challenge basically, and if you're ready
Yeah.
to take that challenge, done.
I think the acceptability part of this whole challenge is the key thing. So people who are coming here, I mean, as you know, I deal with a lot of immigrants who are either already here or coming with my LinkedIn program that I do. A lot of them do not really have the right perception, I would say, because a lot of information which is available on YouTube or whatever uh, is probably not the real information. If I put it away, it's not wrong. What they're presenting is not wrong, but probably not real. So real life is very different. When you come here, when you have your kids, usually at this age, people come in with their families. Uh, you know, coming here, dealing with a new environment and in a new society, learning everything. Uh, Ice hockey and all sorts of those things uh, takes time. And blending into a new society, one has to, so somebody coming from Dubai, for instance. I mean, Dubai is like another India or Pakistan. Yeah, you don't need to speak English. You don't need to speak Arabic, for instance. Everybody speaks Hindi or Urdu or Punjabi. So it's more like you are in South Asia, but you come here, all of a sudden you're in a very different environment. So I mean, that's one big thing that happens. For instance, my wife, she's a homemaker. Okay, she's educated, but back home she never needed to speak English. So she is actually now learning to speak English. I mean, she understands, but speaking is a different thing. For her, it's a different case. Here also, she's a homemaker, so she doesn't really have to go out and do her things. Either I am with her or my daughters are with her. But now she has realized that she has to be some sort of like independently moving around also if there is a need. And without English, like if you can't communicate, if you're just listening, it won't work. So she has to communicate also. And this is a very typical example of how people start suffering right from the very beginning, and you feel loneliness and you feel everything. So you have to have a big heart. You've taken a very big decision in your life
Hmm.
migrating that far to a brand new country. You don't know
Yeah.
many people. Culture is different, but it's cosmopolitan, which means that you find people from so many countries. Like, my neighbor is a Pakistani, the next neighbor is a Kenyan, and there is a Sikh right behind me. It's very cosmopolitan. Living in a very different country and looking for opportunities itself is a project. So I always say, if you take it as a struggle, you will remain in a struggle mode. Take it as a challenge and deal with it, and eventually you'll be successful. So, I mean, yeah, we see. I mean, as immigrants, there are so many stories that we have, like we see in our families, um, around us, things that we also face. Uh, but reality is that Canada, as Tanvir has rightly said, and we have spoken about it, Brand, before also with our previous guests, offers tremendous opportunities. It's such a nice country to be in. And when you say nice, nice is a very broad word. Nice in terms of, environment, people around us, the systems that we live in, education, healthcare, caring, volunteering. I mean, it's everything. And if we don't, like, appreciate all that, I would even go further. I say, if we don't honor all that, then there is no point. We have to honor everything, we have to appreciate everything, and then we have to put in our own, at least 2 cents into this whole process, and be part of. This is the only way to become part of such a beautiful, thriving community. And Brent, you have many Indian and Pakistani friends, and this is how it is. It's not. If you want to be isolated, you will be isolated. If you want to be part of the community, you will be
Hmm.
part of the community, and that's probably is the name of the game here. Yeah,
The best thing I like in Canada is that people always smile.
yeah,
You're just walking, you are on a morning walk, and every second person you'll see will be smiling at you and good morning. That gives you a sense of, like, belonging. I
Wow.
mean, why do you? In fact, I tell my friends and everyone, because of this mask, you can't see those smiles. Because of pandemic, everyone is wearing a mask, and it's
Yes.
pleasure. Like, it looks so good when you are out, and anybody going passing nearby you is smiling, saying
Yeah.
hello, uh, very courteous and everything. I mean, Brent, it's a joke. The Canadian are like, you first kind of thing. Yeah. So
Yes.
that's the thing. Yeah, and it's really something I noticed when I was in Vancouver. As you are I'm sure aware of that, when any elderly person, not very elderly, but like
Hmm.
a little older than you,
Yes.
gets up on the bus, the younger one has normally, like, that's their courtesy to give the seat to the person.
Yes.
So I noticed it, and the next time when we went on the bus, nobody stood up for me. So I told my daughter, I said, I'm still young.
Who's too young? Oh boy.
so I could recall this the same thing, in Vancouver when we first landed in year 2000. My wife was pregnant for our first kid, and we used to go to see doctor. And we had plenty of time, so we would take the longest route to go and see the doctor. It was like 144, bus number 144, which would take us like 45 minutes to reach there. And I mean, she was like, she it was obvious that she was pregnant. So as soon as she is standing, bus will kneel down, and she gets in, and whoever is sitting on the first, the priority seat would get up. I mean, I know it happens in other parts of the country also, other countries also, but when you feel that this is our country, like, I treat Canada as my country. Okay, I have another
Mm,
country also where I was born and lived, but this is my country, so I have
absolutely.
responsibility towards it. What I'm
Yes.
giving back to my country is the key thing,
Yes.
and this is the environment. If we see that environment, we will return it.
Mm,
And as immigrants, I think that's the key thing. That's probably, I would call it, maybe near closing message for everybody who is with us. We have Shazad, we have Sandra. Thank you, Sandra, for your message and staying with us. And Shazad, dear friend, hope you're settling down in your new house or probably moving soon. Congratulations. So this is the reality. These good mornings, and when I walk out and I hear these birds singing and all that, this is the environment we should really appreciate. What else
Yes.
do you want in this world?
And
Uh,
overall, people are really, really nice. They are always helpful. They are,
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's because maybe, I mean, you are aware of that where I'm living in downtown Toronto, there are not many Indian Pakistanis here. So we have a lot of Canadian friends who are really like a family.
yes,
They
and
are
yes,
so
Shazad,
nice. They are
yeah,
so nice. I can't really tell you that, right?
yes,
Because
Shazad,
I never,
welcome.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I thought you
Go
you
ahead.
you
No,
were.
no, no. So it's like, how you embrace your opportunities, it always comes. It's
Yeah,
always,
Wow.
yeah. So it's 7:20, Brent, and you know what? I go for a walk at 7:15.
yeah, you start talking about immigrant stories, and we can go on and
Yes,
on.
Oh,
and
wow.
pleasure of living in this country. I mean, they see Brent is very much local, and he was
We
born
are
and brought
local
up here.
also.
I mean, see, but we migrated, so we adopted Canada, and Canada adopted us. If we have this feeling in our mind, and if we could express ourselves um, to other people who are either coming in or already here, that we have huge responsibility as new immigrants towards this country, because if we don't fulfill our responsibility, I think we have no right to, technically we should not live here. And this is what I tell my kids. This is, you're studying here. I mean, they both are Canadian citizens, anyways. So, this is your country, so you have to do everything that you can in terms of like, taking care of.
Same, same with my kids. My kids basically, I know as like personally, I know my kids, and I know they would have never been able to survive in Pakistan's culture, or no. They're very straightforward. They're very honest, and this is what I like here, and this is what they are doing, and I am happy because my purpose of raising a good kid is I'm done with the world if I'm giving this world a three good people. I
Absolutely. And this honesty thing, and again, there's so many experiences. So in UK, I was traveling. So I was coming from somewhere, and it was a like long underground ride. Uh, I went into an underground station. I was carrying my trolley bag, and there was no ticket booth. So I was like, and it was the station was under construction, so they had moved the booth somewhere else. And so I asked one of the staffer. I said, I've just come in and I can't find the booth. He said, where do you want to go? I said, I want to go to Earl's. He used his like access card. He said, go. And it was like, there was like £10 uh, penalty if you don't have a ticket, right? And at that time I was tired, so I just went in. I said, took the train, the underground, and no, before that, sorry. So I said, I don't have a ticket. How can I travel? No, no, just go there at Earl's Court. You go to ticket booth and just tell them that you're coming from Charing Cross, and they will charge you. Just pay there. And throughout that journey, I was thinking, I'll get hit with this £10 penalty, because if they come and check, I don't have a ticket. But anyways, when I reached Earl's Court, I went to the ticket booth and I said, I'm coming from Charing Cross, and there was no ticket booth, so and he just gave me £1.20, and I could have been traveling from zone 6 probably, which is like £7. Nobody would have known, but they accepted what I told them, and this is the beauty. And people don't understand this. If somebody is telling you something, 99.9% times that is not a lie, and this is something in a lot of cultures and communities that I have worked in, that's not the norm. That's not the normal, unfortunately. And this is, I'm sharing it because, some people will watch it, and this is very much normal in Canada. You would always be truthful. And when you say something, people will accept it. That's why you sign that, that thing saying that, whatever my statement is, truthful statement.
Mhm.
So, with that, I think we are
We don't
a
have
bit
time.
over, Brent, but we have to thank Amir for her time.
No
Oh,
problem.
absolutely.
My
It
pleasure.
was really educational for me, and I'm sure for our listeners as well. Just thank you for being, upfront and transparent and sharing your experiences. And thank you so much for being a guest on our program today.
Pleasure. Pleasure is all mine. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Mother.
Wonderful, and have a very wonderful evening.
You-
I'm sure you can just go out for a walk. It's 19 degrees, beautiful, beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful.
Yesterday also, when I went for the walk in the morning, I didn't realize that it's going to rain, and I was in the park. It rained. Then I called my husband. I said, "Bring the umbrella. I haven't got the umbrella."
Memories of fall in Vancouver, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Vancouver,
Great.
beautiful.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. We'll go offline now. And whoever was with us, Sandra, Shazad, and whoever joined us, thank you very much. Whoever is going to watch this session later on, yeah, enjoy and learn from what we just discussed. Thank you very much and have a wonderful evening.